corresponding to March 31st, 2025. Today's class graciously sponsored by Mr. and Mrs. Clemi and Solange Elia La'ilui Nishmat, her beloved mother, Esther Tina Bat Hannah. Iratzon that to the words of Torah, her neshama have an aliyah in Gan Eden. Amen. Today's class is also dedicated La'ilui Nishmat Rachel Bat Rosa, graciously sponsored by her dear family. And obviously we dedicate the shiur of today for the refuah shelema of the young child that survived the tragic accident of Shabbat up north, Pinchas Rafael ben Sara. I believe that in a few hours the kevurah of the mother and the two sisters will take place in Har HaMenuchot. I'm sure that we have a lot of questions and we do not have answers. Hanistarot LaHashem Elokeinu. There are things in life that we really don't know why and when and how can such a thing happen. But the end pasuk is what should give us some type of comfort. Be'aniklot lanu ulbanenu ad olam la'asot et kol divrei haTorah hazot. But what's known and revealed to us that there is one way that always kept Bnei Israel alive and well, and this is the connection to our Torah, to our Hachamim, to our mitzvot, and Be'ezrat Hashem, may the family have a nechama as well as Am Israel. Amen. And needless to say that we continue praying for the safe return of our hostages in Eretz Israel. And regretfully, I need to say something that may not be pleasant to say, but we also need to pray that the remains of the hostages are also returned. There is a special prayer for that I discovered not long ago. So Be'ezrat Hashem, everybody will return back to their destination place. On a different note, today we have a very special guest, surprised, unannounced, but whenever he comes, light comes to South Florida. I hope you did not bring the rain, Rabbi. Okay? We had a mabul yesterday, but there is plenty of light in sunny Florida. We'd like to welcome Rabbi Joey Mizrahi from Brooklyn, New York, the great rabbi. And I go back many years. He really does not need my introduction. Whenever the rabbi comes, rather I do give him the opportunity to share words with our kahal. Not that he needs it, because he's also a very popular speaker in our shared platform as iTorah.com. But the way the Gemara writes, Ladame tahaze letashema. You play the audio or the video on the website is not the same like in real person. So we're going to turn over the mic and the camera to the rabbi, and Be'ezrat Hashem, if there is time, I speak. I'm not in a rush. I enjoy listening to the rabbi, and Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll have a magnificent class as always. Rabbi, you can handle it. If you're a rabbi in Brooklyn, you can handle it. Good. You good?
I think I'm good. We don't use these things. Okay. Exactly. Thank you, Rabbi Galimidi. Bershut, the great rabbi, who I consider a mentor and someone who we look up to in the Rabbanut. This beautiful, beautiful Kahal Kadosh. We love coming. The ra'ayah that we love coming for the rabbi is yesterday's weather. You know, we didn't come for the weather. We came to see the rabbi. We came to visit family. And it's really always a pleasure to come. We'll share an idea that has to do with the Pesach Haggadah, but also backtracks to Purim. In the Haggadah, the Rasha asks an interesting question. The Rasha asks, Ma ha'abodah hazot lachem? What is this abodah? And the Pasuk says the response to the Ben Rasha is Hakeh chinav. We're very upset at this question. And the Haggadah says, because he says the word Ba'abur ze asa Adonai li b'setim Mizrayim li v'lo. And the Rasha used the words Maha avodah zot lachem. To you, he's excluding himself from the kahal. But there's another flaw with the question of the Rasha, and that is that he uses a very interesting word called Abodah. Ma ha'abodah hazot lachem. And the rabbis explain that the question of the Rasha is, what did we gain by leaving Egypt? In Egypt, what we did was Abodah. In 2 Pesukim in Parashat Shemot, mentions the word Abodah 5 times. Vaya'avidu Mizrahi et Bnei Yisrael befarech, vaymareru et hayehem ba'abodah kasha, behomer ubilbenim ubchol, Abodah basadeh, et kol abodatam asher abedu bahem befarech. Thank you. 5 times in 2 Pesukim it says the word Abodah. And the Ben Rasha is, I don't understand. In Egypt we did Abodah, now we come out of Mizraim, and here we are doing more Abodah. The night of the year that has the most mitzvot is Leil Pesach. So I don't understand. If we would have freedom. Freedom should mean that we should take a vacation. We come out of Mizraim, and what do? We have a night which has the most mitzvot of any night. And it's not only the night itself, but it's the preparation for the night. It's bedikat hametz, mechidat hametz, cleaning for hametz. And so much labor comes into the holiday of Pesach. They made an entire industry off of this labor called Passover trips, to have people save themselves from a lot of this labor. But there's so much that comes into the holiday of Pesach. And the Ben Rasha says, I don't understand. In Mitzrayim we did Abodah, and now we're doing more Abodah. That's his problem. And the response to the Ben Rasha is, you don't understand what life is all about. You think that life is about being lazy, being lax, being free. A truly free person is someone who learns Torah. And I'd like to explain this idea. On Purim, it's a very interesting question in the Megillah. Esther HaMalka goes into Ahashverosh unannounced. Originally Mordechai tells her to go in. She says, how could I go in? I can't go in. Anyone who goes in gets killed. Mordechai says, you gotta go in. If you don't go in, we'll be saved. We don't even need you. You'll be lost to history. And Esther says, okay, I'm going to go in. Pray, fast for 3 days, I'm going in. And she goes in. And Ahashverosh spreads his golden wand, and he says, anything you want. And Esther says, let you, the king, and Haman, come to the party that I have prepared. Now, Ahashverosh understands that she has a very important request, because she came in unannounced, risked her life. And she says, come to the party, come to the intimate gathering. And Ahashverosh knows something is up, something serious is going on. And he says to Esther, Ad hasti hamalchut, I'll give you until half the kingdom. And what does Esther request at this first party? Come back tomorrow. What's she asking? Come back tomorrow. You have the audience that you need right now. You have Ahashverosh and Haman there. And she says, come back tomorrow. And the Midrash in Yalkut Shimoni asks, why did Esther say come tomorrow if she had exactly what she needed today? Any suggestions? Why did she say tomorrow, mañana, bukra? Good. David from Philadelphia is saying that they needed more time to pray. Okay, it's a possibility. I'd like to share the idea of the Yalkut Shimoni. The Midrash says, Ma ra'ata Esther, to say come back tomorrow. I'll read you the beautiful words of the Midrash. Ma ra'ata lomar mahar, ela shekol zar'a shel Amalek lemedim lipol lemahar. The descendants of Amalek, their Achilles heel, their weakness is mahar. Today is not their weakness, tomorrow is their weakness. And what's the proof of the Midrash that the weakness of Amalek is tomorrow? V'chen hu omer, mahar anochi nisab arosh hagiv'ah. When Moshe sends Yehoshua to fight against Amalek, he says, you go out and fight against the people of Amalek. Mahar, fight against them tomorrow, I will stand here, you go fight. What's with the mahar? Why is he procrastinating until tomorrow? We look at the word mahar as laziness, you're procrastinating, you're pushing it off. Moshe, when he tells Yehoshua to fight against Amalek, he says, do it tomorrow. Why tomorrow? And Esther does the same thing. Esther says to Ahashverosh, I'm not going to make my request today, I'm going to make my request tomorrow. What's with the tomorrow? And the Midrash says, because the weakness of Amalek is Mahar. How do we understand this beautiful Midrash, this enigmatic, cryptic Midrash? The Mishnah says in Masechet Sanhedrin, a very beautiful Mishnah, Sadikim tehilatan yisurin v'sofan shalva. Righteous people, today is difficult. Today is challenging. Today it is yisurim, maybe even suffering. V'sofan, and their end is shalva. Rishaim tahilatan shalva. Wicked people today is serene, is calm, is easy. V'sofan yisurin, but their end is going to be challenging and difficult. The Mishnah tells us the difference between a Sadiq and a Rasha. Sadiqim, today is hard, tomorrow is good. Rishaim, today is good, today is easy, and tomorrow is hard. This is so clear in life. Rishaim make decisions based on what's easy for me today. This is the first example, or the first interaction with Esav and his descendants Amalek happened when Yaakov Avinu wants to sell a pot of soup for the Bechor. And Esav says, well, absolutely, I want the pot of soup today, and I'm willing to give up something tomorrow. And that's the wording used in the Pasuk. Vayomer Yaakov mechra chayom et bechorat li. And the Mefarshim explain that Yaakov is telling Esav, the sale that you're giving me, what you're going to gain from this sale is only today. Tomorrow I'm going to benefit. I'm willing to give up something in the moment to gain something in the future. Esav is all about the moment, and Yaakov is all about the future. Esav and Amalek make decisions for now. What's easier for me now? Instant gratification. Like as you may have heard of the famous marshmallow test. Psychologists did tests on little children, and they give them one marshmallow and they tell them, if you eat the marshmallow now, you get it now. But if you wait 15 minutes and you don't eat it, in 15 minutes you'll get two. And they see from the children who are able to delay gratification, that's indicative of a lot of success in their future. Because those who live with instant gratification, they're sacrificing mahar on the Mizbeach of Hayom. Now we understand why Esther told Ahashverosh, I'm going to wait till tomorrow. We're never going to beat Amalek and Haman today. Today, they're always going to be more successful. Our success against them is Mahar. And if you look at the Purim story, that was clearly borne out. What's Haman's status today? Vayetze Haman bayom hahu, on that day, Sameach v'tov lev. The Malbim explains this is the only day of his life that he's happy. He finally reached his goals. He finally accomplished what he set out to accomplish, to be equal to the king. What's his status? Mahar. Haman comes back tomorrow. Abel v'hafui rosh. Today he's Sameach, but Mahar Abel v'hafui rosh, because the Rishaim are going to be happy today, but they're going to pay the bill tomorrow. Therefore, Moshe tells Yoshua, don't fight against Amalek today, because today he'll always be more successful. Fight against Amalek Mahar. Esther says, I'm not going to beat Haman today. I'm going to be able to get him Mahar. We can't get Amalek in the moment. We get him later on. Yaakov knows, I'm not going to beat Esav today. Today I lose, he wins. He gets my pot of soup. But where am I going to be successful? Is Mahar. Mahar is the key word. Those people who make decisions for Mahar are going to be successful. Our entire religion is about delaying gratification. It's about fasting in the moment. You fast today, you get good sambusak tonight. If you are able to work in the moment, hayom la'asotam, mahar lekabel secharam. It's all about hayom la'asotam, and to delay the reward until tomorrow. Now, lest someone think that people who work for today are miserable today. When you know that I'm working today for a tomorrow, I'm working for my future, I'm working for my children, I'm not working for the moment. I have a sense of serenity today in my difficulty because I know what's awaiting for me tomorrow. That's the flaw of the Ben Rasha. The Ben Rasha says, if we just got free, why are we working so hard? Ma ha'abodah hazot lachem. And we look at that Rasha and we feel bad for him. He doesn't understand what work is. He doesn't understand what working towards a future is. I'll give you a mashal. The Rasha misunderstands freedom completely. The Rasha thinks that freedom should mean I should sleep, I should enjoy myself. I'll give a parable. Imagine you make it your life's worth to free someone from bondage, to free someone from slavery, and you go to court and you advocate for them and you hire a lawyer and you do whatever it takes, and after months and months, finally you are successful and the person is free. They look at you, they say, you saved my life, you freed me, thank you so much. And you give them a hug and they go off on their way. A month later, you want to see how they're doing, before the era of cell phones. And you go to their house, you knock on their door 11 o'clock in the morning, and they had just woken up, they're making themselves some pancakes. And you ask them, how's life? Life is unbelievable. I'm really enjoying my freedom. I wake up at 11 o'clock, I have some pancakes, I go in the pool, I have a couple of beers, I take a nap, I have some barbecue, I go back to sleep again. And you look at them and you're appalled and you're horrified. You can't believe it. What kind of life are you living? And they look back at you like, I don't understand. When I was a slave, I had to work really hard. It was backbreaking. It was difficult. I'm going to enjoy my freedom. And what you expected to see was someone who wakes up early in the morning, comes to minyan, comes to shiur, goes, works hard, builds a business, is looking towards building a family to accomplish all great things in life. And they're wasting their time sleeping and living in the moment. And we understand that freedom is freedom to work towards something more significant, to work towards something more meaningful, not to live in the moment. The Ben Rasha doesn't understand the real meaning of freedom. He thinks freedom is to do nothing. And he can't understand why the holiday of Pesach, we're so busy with Avodah, and we respond, you're not going to understand. And not only that, if you stayed in Egypt, you wouldn't have gotten out because you had no purpose for leaving Mitzrayim. You didn't leave to do anything significant. You may as well have stayed in Mitzrayim. I'll end with one idea. This concept of mahar is such a significant concept for us. We are people not of today, but we are people of mahar. We live for tomorrow. There are 3 questions in the Haggadah. There are 4 sons. One of them does not ask a question. That is the son who is she'eno yodea lish'al. He doesn't ask any questions. Of the 3 sons who ask questions, the Hacham, the Rasha, and the Tam. I'd like to share with you a beautiful diuk. If you look in the Torah, these questions are found in the Torah. The question of the Hacham, the question of the Rasha, the question of the Tam. I'm going to share with you 3 Pesukim in the Torah, the 3 questions of the sons. V'haya ki yeshalecha bencha mahar lemor mazot. That's a pasuk we say every day in the Vaydaber. Whose question is that? Who asks mazot? That's the question of the Tam. Mazot, what is this? A simple question. V'haya ki yeshalecha bencha mahar lemor mazot. Pasuk in Sefer Devarim, Parashat Re'eh, ki yeshale, Parashat Vayetchanan. כי ישאלך בנך מחר לאמור מה העדות והחוקים והמשפטים אשר ציווה אדוני אלוהינו אתכם. That is the question of the Ben Hacham. What is the question of the Ben Rasha? והיה כי יאמרו עליכם בניכם מה העבודה הזאת לכם. If you notice in the 3 questions, the Tam and the Hacham have the word mahar. כי ישאלך בנך מחר לאמור מזאת. כי ישאלך בנך מחר לאמור מה העדות והחוקים והמשפטים. Which son does not have the word mahar in his question? The Ben Rasha. והיה כי יאמרו עליכם מה העבודה הזאת לכם, without the word mahar. And the reason is because the Hacham, even the simple son, have a mahar. They have a future. They're looking towards the future. The Rasha, והיה כי יאמרו עליכם בניכם, today, the Rasha has no mahar. The Rasha is not focused on mahar. The Rasha is not even going to be here mahar. He's going to make decisions that prevent him from having a future. Therefore, the Hacham and the Tam have a mahar. The Rasha makes all his decisions for today. The Rasha doesn't understand why we do abodah today. The Rasha doesn't understand why we have freedom. And I'll end with one idea. I once saw an observation that of the Shalosh Regalim, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, take unaffiliated Jews. Which one do they keep the most? Pesach, Shavuot, or Sukkot? Pesach. The second one they follow, if we'd have to say in order, you'd say Sukkot and then Shavuot. The irony is, which one of these is the hardest holiday to follow? Pesach. Then Sukkot, then Shavuot, which means an unaffiliated Jew, you would think, would follow the easiest, the most, the second easiest after that, and the hardest they would follow the least. They should follow Shavuot the most, then Sukkot, then Pesach. It's the exact inverse. They follow Pesach the most, because even an unaffiliated Jew understands if it's too easy, I'm not in if it's too easy. It's harder, I'm in. Now I understand the value of it. They feel a connection to things that are more difficult. Yeah, oh, you have a holiday that's very difficult? I understand that. And that's why most people fast on Yom Kippur. Because if it's hard, it must be significant. They don't understand things that are easy, they don't feel a connection to. That's why the Reform movement, which tried to undo so much of the Torah, they have no mahar. Because they made it too easy. If it's difficult, if it's hard, Mesirut Nefesh, I feel a connection to that. That is how we live. We don't live for Hayom. Our fight against Amalek is always Mahar. We're not going to win today. Today they're going to be successful. Esther says Mahar. Even Shushan Purim, Esther says to Ahashverosh, Yinaten Gam Mahar. Moshe Rabbeinu tells Yoshua, Mahar Anochi Nisav al Rosh HaGiv'ah. The Ben Rasha doesn't understand that we live for Mahar. He wants instant gratification. He wants pleasure in the moment. Tzaddikim are willing to have challenges in the moment for their ultimate benefit, Mahar. Rabbi, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi. It's always pleasure. Great seeing you. You want to say a few berachot, maybe? You sure? Charlie, prepare something for the Rabbi. Okay. I'm just going to get a free ride with the beautiful words that the Rabbi mentioned, something that we learn around Perashat Zachor, and then we'll spend a few minutes on the four sons of the Haggadah, since the Rabbi started to discuss. So as you were talking, Rabbi, I remember once hearing from a great Rabbi from Israel that explains, Haman and Esav are obviously connected to Amalek. Haman is a descendant of Amalek. Esav was the grandfather of Amalek. And actually, Amalek has 4 tactics to prevent a Yehudi of moving forward in Avodat Hashem. And the tactics are found in the word Amalek. And I'm going to write it for you very quickly. You can take this to Brooklyn. Okay? The first one is Achshav Lo. I can't now. The next one, Mahar. The third one, Lo Yachol. The fourth one, Kasheli. Amalek comes when a person needs to do a mitzvah, right? Take a picture, Rabbi. You got it? Without my face, only the picture. Beautiful, okay, just in case. Now I want to see wanted, So the ayn of Achshav Lo, a mitzvah comes our way. And what do we say? Not now, not now. The next one, Mahar, tomorrow, mañana. Americans, with all the respect to the born in the USA, are known some Spanish. Usually, ladies know the Khaddame Spanish, limpiar bien, venir temprano, donde zapatos. They know the language, but there is a common language word, mañana. And usually, when people say the word mañana, means what? Tomorrow. Why do I need to do it today? The third one comes Amalek, the Yeserara, and tells the person, Lo Yachol. It's too difficult. I can't. And the fourth one, Kasheli. Is impossible for me to do. Those are the 4 tactics that Amalek comes when it comes to matters of spirituality. So the Mahar the Rabbi was referring to is the Mahar of Moshe Rabbeinu. The Mahar of Moshe Rabbeinu is invest today to preserve the future. Did you mention about instant gratification, right, in the beginning, right? That's how we live today. We live in a generation, you need to send a check. No longer checks. Who sends checks? Zelle. Venmo, e-check. You deposit the check. Yeah, that's why the banks are closing. Banks are closing. It's not worth it for them to keep branches open, right? Every bank is closing branches. For what? There is no pedestrian traffic. They keep one or two branches to say we are here. Most of the business transactions today are done remotely. Even some companies have the machine, right? Have you seen the machine that you put the check and scans the check and goes directly into the bank? Or you take a picture. Halas. That's how it works, right? Obviously, if you need me to pick up a check, obviously I'll arrange pickup. Okay? But I'm not fundraising today. But that is the Moshe Rabbeinu Mahar. But I saw, just to follow what the great rabbi mentioned concerning the four sons that the Torah spoke about, right? We know them, the wise one, the Hacham, the Rasha, the wicked one. The Tam is the simple. Besheno Yodea Lishol, the one who doesn't even know, have to ask the question. So the Be'er Haim, which is what we use before the Pesach, before we get into the halachot, which we'll do Beli Neder soon, it brings a very beautiful Midrash Rabbah, connecting the four sons to the four types of Yehudim, the four type of Jewish people that exist in the world. This is found where? In the Arba'at Minim. We have the Etrog, we have the Lulav, we have the Hadas, and the Arava. Remember that speech? How each one has different ma'alot. The Etrog has the good taste and the good smell. That represents what? Represents the Yehudim. Thank you. Represents the heart of the Jew, but represents the Yehudi that has a combination, Torah and mitzvot. And it's a package. Torah and mitzvot, it's a package. Why? Because the only way I can do the mitzvot properly if I learn Torah. If I don't learn Torah, the mitzvot that I'm going to do, I'm going to be mitzvot to get by. Not the real way of how a mitzvah needs to be done. Sometimes people say, I don't understand. Why it takes you so long, 5 minutes, to do the Amidah? I can do the Amidah in 2 minutes. But there is something called quality and quantity. When you do the Amidah in 2 minutes, you just read, Oseh Shalom Miromav. If you take a bit longer, you are able to understand. If you are able to understand, you are able to concentrate. If you are able to concentrate, the words have meanings. So allow me to read very quickly this Midrash Rabbah in Sefer Vayikra that says, the Etrog, as we know, is connected to the great people of Am Israel that have Torah and mitzvot. The Lulav has some type of flavor, so to speak, but it doesn't have taste. The Adasim have smell, but they don't have a taste. And the Aravot, lo ta'am velo reach. The Arava represents the Yehudi that has no Torah and no mitzvot. So one Yehudi is Torah or mitzvot, one Yehudi Torah and no mitzvot, another Yehudi mitzvot and no Torah, and the fourth one, they say in Arabic, gurnish mit gurnish. That's in Arabic, right? Nothing. You have nothing. Nothing, no Torah, no mitzvot. And yet, what the halakha says, it's a pasuk from the Torah. You gotta take the arava, the dry one, the empty one, and blend them together. Connect them. That's how we fulfill the Arba'at Minim. If we don't have the Arba'at Minim, you cannot say the Beracha. Even if you're missing the Arava, that spiritually represents the Yehudi that is not connected, you cannot do the Beracha. So what is this telling us? That even the way the Gemara writes in Sanhedrin, the Daf Yomi of these days, chapter 11 of the Gemara, it says, Israel, afal pi shehata, Israel, who? A Yehudi. Even though the Yehudi sins, the neshama of the Yehudi is active. The Hidah Kadosh writes, something fascinating, that between Purim and Pesach, HaKadosh Baruch Hu redeems neshamot which they are in spiritual trouble. Because since we have two Geulot, we have the Geulah of Purim and the Geulah of Pesach, so the timing is ideal to bring salvation to the neshama. Salvation to the soul. Because at the end of the day, what we learned for those who were here yesterday, when we discussed the question, why when the Torah talks about the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh, we say, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe ve'Aharon be'eres Misraim lemor. God spoke to Moshe and Aharon in Egypt. And we brought, I believe, what the Shalah Kadosh said, that the Torah is telling us that even if a Yehudi, a Jew, finds himself in Egypt doesn't mean the physical Egypt of Egypt, Northern Africa, means in the spiritual darkness of Egypt. Remember how many levels down we were in Egypt until we left? How many? Hazak Baruch, 49 levels. Memtet, Sha'are Tum'ah. Yani 49 levels down, not to the 49th floor. You went to the 49th level of the basement. So how dark spiritually can be? We don't understand, and we should never understand. But one thing is for sure, that we say in the Haggadah, Ilu lo hotzi HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu would have not brought us up out of Egypt that day, what would have happened? What would have happened? We would have stayed in Egypt forever. And that's what the Rosh Chodesh mitzvah was that we discussed yesterday. That Rosh Chodesh gives the power to lift from the basement at least to ground zero. And we move on and improve ourselves. So it says that the idea of the Arba items of Sukkot, in a way, is connected to the 4 children of the Haggadah. Because at least, even the wicked one, the second one, guess what? You know what's the hope on him? That he comes to the Seder table. What you're missing is son number 5, which is the unwritten son in the Haggadah. You know who is this 5th son? The one that doesn't come. You like it? Everyone comes. If you come, you'll get something. Even if you come to the knees for the maza, come for the sabusak. Imagine yourself, I only come when there is a special breakfast. Come for the breakfast, and you walk out with a vitamin of the Torah. That's what this fellow does. But the 5th one missing, that's the one that we need to worry about. Yes, Rabbi, you want? Wow. Rabbi Haber. Rabbi Michael Haber, Allah Shalom. Wow, the 5th son, the one that doesn't come to the Seder table. In other words, he's a Jew, knows, have seen it, but he took a step back. And once they take a step back, the recovery, the road to recovery is much more challenging. And that's what it says here, the Bera Haim, and it says that when a person, this is brought down by the Chobat HaLevavot as well, that a person gets influenced by their environment. What does it mean? Imagine you walk into a butcher shop or a fish store. How are you going to smell? Like meat, like fish. But what if you go into a perfume store? You smell good. So imagine if you come to a Torah class you come to the synagogue, you come to the house of Hashem, something is going to stick. Today maybe the sambusak, Shabbat morning is the maza kiddush, and whenever there is a farah or something, there is something that attracts the person, and on the go, that person participates in the prayer, listens to a few words of Torah, the way the Baal Shem Tov says, that words of Torah penetrate the neshama of a Jew. The words of Torah, que eres balebanon isge, he says, lev nun, the heart is equal or has the power to the 50th gate of wisdom, which we don't even know what that means, that understands. But he says that the words of Torah penetrates the soul. I recall once that says, let's say that you're going to meet somebody for business, and the person wants to meet with you for a business deal, and you tell him, I'm sorry, I cannot meet you Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock because Shabbat is coming. Or a person wants to meet you in a non-kosher place and he says, I'll pay the bill. And you tell him, I only eat kasher, allow me to invite you. Did you say any words of Torah to this fellow? No. What did you tell him? You observe Shabbat? What did you tell him? You eat kasher. Guess what? These two words suddenly enter the neshama of the Yehudi. Listening, oh, he's Shomer Shabbat. Oh, listening, he's kasher. Listening, this Sunday it's a Pesach. Those words, according to the writings of the Baal Shem Tov, especially to somebody unaffiliated. You know, there was a story they said about the Lubavitcher Rebbe, alav shalom, that there was a Jew that was thinking of giving up his Judaism. And he made a deal with God. I don't know many people who made deals with God, but this fellow, and I saw this in writing in one of the Hasidic master stories, that says that this fellow said to God, if you want me to remain Jewish, make sure that I see a sign. Who are you, Moshe Rabbeinu? You know, Abraham Avinu. Lo and behold, Erev Pesach, this story happened in Holland, Rabbi, maybe going back 30, 40 years ago. Suddenly this Yehudi lived in a certain town in Holland that they were not known for being a Jewish populated type of city. And suddenly he gets a phone call from a rabbi. A few days before Pesach, is your name Mr. So-and-so? Yes, I have a package of matzot for you for Pesach. He was very happy and he says, but how did you know that I exist? God talked to you? He says, no. So how do you know me? He says, I went to Amsterdam, to the main city, and I said, I'm going to travel the interior of Holland to see if there are Jewish people that I can be mekarev, I can do outreach. And they gave me a paper, a printout, and it brings this city, and they said there is a fellow, based on cemetery records, that a generation or two ago, after the Holocaust, Yehudim with that name were buried in a cemetery. Go check it out. So he came, he found the cemetery, he went to the family. He says, is there any member of the family? He says, there is a son, he's maybe 50, 60 years old, that comes to visit the parents' grave. Apparently they perish immediately after the Holocaust. This is how he found this neshama, and you can imagine the rest of the story. The spark of the Yehudi never extinguishes. Remember that. My good friends, Rabbi, again, thank you for magnificent words of Torah. To the iTorah audience, 11 o'clock we'll have a class about Pesach for ladies as well. ברוך אדוני לעולם, אמן ואמן. רבי חנניה בן הקשיא אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל לפיכך